felt inspired to make this video following a conversation that I had earlier today. I was literally mid-conversation and I was getting like so fired up about this topic. And then I thought, you know what, I should do this on video. And so that's why I'm here right now talking about this. Often in our lives, there are things that we want, that things that we aspire to have, and we work so hard to get them, and sometimes they just don't happen the way that we expect them to or the way that we want them to. Sometimes they just don't materialize at all. And often we can get stuck in this kind of scarcity mindset as a result. And we can think that, just because we don't have this one thing that we want, therefore we don't have anything. And it's often the case that sometimes something bad will happen, and then we will think that that bad thing is the only thing that's happening to us in our lives. And we know that's not actually the case. But this is something that we need to be more conscious of and try to, regain our centeredness, ground ourselves, and come back to reality, because often the thing that we want is not actually something that we need for our survival. And if you're in this situation and you're feeling really desperate about something, like you're fixated on something and you're really focused on that particular outcome, then try to take a step back and just evaluate your whole situation. And this is something that I'm speaking based on experience. So this is not something I'm preaching without having lived through it myself. Every day as a human, there's something that I'm also working towards, or something that I want to achieve or attain. I've done like so many courses this year, and I was really focused on achieving them and doing them, and I did, alhamdulillah. I managed to get through them. But sometimes there are things that we want that don't materialize, whether that's a house, whether that's marriage, whether that's a new job, whether it's a shift in career, whether it's, it could be a small thing, it could be a big thing, like the big things that I've mentioned. But it's really important that we are coming back to where we began, and we realize how much we have done. And it just requires us to take a step back and let go. And letting go sometimes is a very difficult thing to do, especially if you're so invested in something. But it's so important to do that so that the blessings can pour in. It's really important also to remember that Shaitan doesn't really want us to have a peace of mind. He doesn't want us to feel content. He's always going to make us feel like we're lacking in something, and that lack is all-encompassing. And we need to remind ourselves that that's the whispers of the Shaitan, and that he's making us think that we don't have something that's critical to our lives, even if that thing is just a want and not a need. Like I said, if you have food in your belly, you have shelter over your head, you have loved ones that whether that's the close friends or your family or both, you have people or some kind of support system, even if it's minimal, even if it's just one person, or even if you're not supported by people, but you've got God or the universe or source by your side, then really that's what you need for survival. You need those essential things. You need safety, and if you have those things, then you have everything you need to survive. And then to think that, to start to think that your whole living consciousness should be overridden by this one thing that you're getting is going to make you miserable. It's going to make you feel stagnant, and it's actually going to stop you from moving forward. I actually had this really interesting dream just a couple of nights ago, and I was trying to open a door and I didn't know which key opened the door, and I picked up a key intuitively in the dream and it said forward on it. And I woke up after this dream and I was thinking, what does this dream mean? And then I thought, sometimes, even though I know that I'm, moving forward, sometimes I can feel like I'm not, because I'm not seeing the results straight away. That doesn't mean that things are not happening in the background. That doesn't mean that things are not happening in the unseen that I'm unaware of. What's really important is that we make the intention and we try to clear blocks that may be coming in the way of that intention materializing into something. It does mean that we put effort into it. But then after that, there should be this healthy distance where you can let go of the outcome and you can trust in God, in source, or whatever it is that you believe in, that it will work out, that things will work out. And it might not look the way that you want it to, but it is likely to, it's likely that you will have either that or something better will be replaced, will replace that thing it is that you want. And I'm just going to talk as a Muslim now. So if you're not Muslim, then, you know, you can translate this according to your own beliefs. But as a Muslim, you know, I believe that we are tested in this world. We are tested our whole lives. And these tests include what's written in the Quran, which is a loss of wealth, a loss of fruits, a loss of lives, and a loss of, did I say health? Health, wealth, fruits, and lives. So those are the 4 things that we're tested by. And these tests occur throughout our lives. So every time that we may lose somebody that we love, or that we lose the fruits of our labor, or we lose a pot of wealth, or whatever it is, that could very well be a test. And, you know, the test is that, do we lose ourselves in that process? Do we become bitter? Do we become resentful? Do we become worse people? Because when we're in a mind of scarcity, when we're thinking from a place of, you know, we don't have enough, we don't have this, we don't have that, and we're forgetting all the blessings that we do have, then is that improving you as a person? Is that bettering you as a person? Or is that worsening you as a person? Are you proud of the person you were before this thing happened to you? Or have you learned something from that experience, and has that made your character stronger, and has it made you more principled and moral? Has it helped you to become more empathetic with other people that may be suffering? Or has it made you a worse person? Has it made you bitter? Has it made you hateful? Do you now hate everybody around you? Do you just hate the world? You know, because if you're having these feelings, and, you know, everyone succumbs to this every now and then, it is part of the human process to, you know, to go through things and to have the whole spectrum of emotions. So emotions on their own are not evil. It's about what we do with them. So if we are feeling that, you know, if we feel upset about something, that's a human emotion. It's human to feel upset if you've lost a loved one. But then to feel resentful of everyone and everything and the whole world as a result, that's now going to, if you internalize that feeling, then you're now going to act out in a world where other people will perceive you as being hateful and resentful, and you might do things stemming from these feelings that can affect everybody around you. If you're stuck in misery, if your constant feeling or your emotion that's evoked by something that's happened is misery, then guess what? Not only does misery love company, but you're going to make others around you who don't want to be miserable feel miserable, because they're going to see you being miserable. So it's really important that we start to count our blessings, and this is why gratitude is so important. And Allah literally says in the Quran that if you are grateful, I will give you more. So, you know, we have to count our blessings, and we have to consciously do this. Becoming a better person is a conscious process, and nobody is born with like tons of wisdom and, you know, just knowing how to center themselves intuitively. Not everybody has that, you know, ability to do that, but you can work on it. You can grow it as a skill. You can learn how to regulate your emotions, how to confront your emotions, how to accept them, embrace them, but then to channel those feelings and emotions in such a way that it serves you and it helps you to keep moving forward in life and not feel this state of stuckness, this stagnancy. And, you know, the blessings are like, you can literally Google blessings, or you can, if you can't think of blessings, because, you know, I've run into a couple of people before who've said that we've been in a situation, or, you know, something's happened and they can't even think of a single good thing in that situation or from that relationship, if they've been in a relationship or whatever it was. And sometimes you just need to remind yourself, even if Google will help you, use Google. If ChatGPT will help you do that, you can literally just put in there a command like, tell me list 100 things that I should be grateful for, and it will give you 100 things. And you can start there, and then you can build up, and, you know, just try to find the good in everything so that you can feel better. If you see good, you will feel good. If you see the glass is half empty, then you will feel that emptiness. So, they say every cloud has a silver lining, and there are lots of cliched phrases like that. But if we try to internalize them and really try to see that everything was meant to happen for a reason, and really internalize that and embody that understanding, then you will see that your mind will start to calm down, your nervous system will start to regulate, and you will feel calmer. It works so well. It's not uncommon to feel restlessness. It's not uncommon to feel, a bit jittery or nervous energy, especially when things are happening and, or things are not happening and you want them to happen. But to try and get back to that centeredness, it helps to take a walk in nature or even spend time in your garden. I've been doing this so much. I've been spending so much time in the back garden, and I've been seeing ayahs. So when I was little, I used to, read this verse in the Quran about ayahs, and how it says in the Quran that there are ayahs all around you. Ayah meaning signs. So there are signs all around you. And I used to read that and I used to think, what does this mean? I wonder what this means. Like, what signs are there around me? And I was thinking about this since I was a teenager, and I still think about it. And because I've been so consciously trying to understand the meaning of this verse, over the years, I've seen loads and loads of signs, even though initially I couldn't, because I didn't quite understand or grasp the meaning, the depth of that verse. Over the years, I have seen so many signs. And, what's been happening really recently is I've been writing down what I've been seeing in my dreams. And the more I've been doing this practice, I've been noticing that when I'm out and about in nature, something from nature will inspire my dreams. And my dreams will have some significant meaning. So it's really interesting, like how all these signs are all interlinked. And I really don't believe in coincidences. I believe things happen for a reason, especially if you walk with purpose, especially if you feel that, you have a purpose on this planet. You're not here by mistake. It was meant to be that you were here and that you were a human. And as a human being, your purpose in life is sacred. So if you really believe in that, then when you go out in nature and you see certain things, like you might see a swan swimming in the lake, or you might see something happening, and you might look at that and see, oh, actually that's just inspired me to do something. That's yesterday is a really funny example, but yesterday I was feeding the ducks and swans in the lake, and I saw geese. So we have a lot of Canadian geese in the UK. In this lake, there were lots of Canadian geese that were crowding together to get the bread that I was feeding them. And what happened is a few swan came, and they also got huddled unintentionally as they were trying to grab the food that I was giving between the Canadian geese. They were very upset about it. They got very angry. And even though I then started throwing a lot more food directly at the swans, they were almost not seeing the blessings that were coming their way. And they were just so busy being angry and like fighting with these geese that I thought, wow, I hope I don't do that. I don't want to get so caught up in, something negative that I don't see the positive. And this was a really significant sign for me. It was a reminder. It was a reminder to be grateful, to not get caught up in my negative emotions, and when something happens, and to still look for the blessings in it. And then, surely after some time, the swans began to realize that I'm throwing some bread, and then they started collecting the bread that I was throwing, and they started eating, and then, it almost seemed like their temper calmed down a little bit. So this was a really beautiful example, and I sat with them for some time, and I sat by the lake watching all of these birds eat, and there were swallows and like very small birds, to all different kinds of birds, and even a crow came later. So there were lots of, birds, ducks, geese, probably 7 or 8 different species, all eating together, most of them really getting on and, all knowing their place, where to get the bread from, which also reminds me of, verse in the Quran, which describes how the people, the Egyptians, when they went to their springs, there were 12 springs, and they knew exactly where to go and get their water from. So these other birds, they knew where their place was, but then, the swans were they just felt that they owned the place. They had such ego, and they didn't want to be sharing with the other birds, or even, sort of huddled up with the other birds. They wanted their space. They wanted to be, given preferential treatment, it seemed. So it was a really interesting experience that spoke to me a lot spiritually. So there are these signs in the world. There are signs when you walk out and you see things happen, you see things unfold. Even, random strangers that you talk to, sometimes the conversations that you have, even if they're brief, sometimes there can be something in there that can be inspirational, or it can make you think about something, or it can make you question something. So if you look at the beauty in all of these things, and the beauty in the small mundane things in your life, then surely it will help you to gain more perspective and help you to let go. And then you will even start to notice miracles. You will notice not just synchronicities, not just meaningful events like this, but you will notice miracles happening. They will unfold in your life. I can guarantee that, because I've seen it happen so many times. I expected miracles and they happened, and I still expect miracles every day. Do they happen every day? Maybe. And this is another thing I do. So I would ask Allah, God, to make me notice the blessings, to make me notice and appreciate the blessings in the best of ways, the ways that I should, and to embody the character of the prophets, to embody their principles, their morals, their way of looking at the world, their strengths. And these are the things that I ask for, and I ask for the tools to become a better person and not to be tested beyond what I can bear. I hope that this video inspired you and it helps you in some way. I do want to make some more videos like this. I've been spending quite a few months intensively training and learning about many things, especially energetic healing. It's been very interesting to me, and I see the overlap with Islam so much. There's actually a guy whose channel I watch, a brother called Muhammad, and he makes a lot of videos on these topics as well, and it really overlaps with sort of the understanding that I've had as well for years, but I've not been able to talk about it so publicly. But now that he's sort of opened up the topic, I feel more comfortable as well to come on camera and talk about it. But also it takes time to really reach that depth of confidence. It's when you study in a lot of depth and you ponder and you spend a lot of time thinking about things that you then gain a solid understanding yourself, and then you can feel confident to share it confidently with everybody else. So that's kind of where I'm at. I've done a few of these courses, and I've been building on my own spiritual learning, which started long ago when I was about maybe 13 years old. That's probably when I started it. So I've been building on it since then. And I feel really blessed. Even just for knowledge alone, it's such a huge blessing to have knowledge like this, to have wisdom as well, to ask Allah for wisdom and to receive wisdom is such a huge blessing, because it helps you to feel the richness in life and to feel grateful. I start each day in the morning thanking Allah. I thank Him for the opportunity for another day, for another chance at life. And it doesn't matter what's happening, I always try and be grateful and to wake up with that gratitude and to embody the gratitude throughout the day. If I even drink a glass of water, I'm like, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah for this glass of water. There are so many people right now in the world that are suffering in such a big way. They don't even get a clean glass of water. And so how could I not be grateful for that? How could I take that for granted and just ignore that? Anyway, I hope that this video has inspired you in some way. I did allow myself to cool down a bit before I made this video, because I sometimes get into these really heated emotional conversations, and it happens quite a lot actually, like pretty much on a daily basis. So let me know if you like this. Let me know if you want to talk about something else, and also if you want me to do more kind of chatty videos like this. Let me know if it helps. All right, thank you and see you soon.